Good evening, everyone. Severe Weather Team 9 meteorologist Nathan Chum for this edition of Nate at 8. Thanks so much for joining me this evening. We're going to be tracking another cold morning tomorrow morning before temperatures will start to climb back up, but we are tracking some more rain. So without further ado, let's jump into things. And this edition of Nate at 8 tonight, like I mentioned, we're going to be tracking one more cold night. Then rain will be returning as early as tomorrow night. Cool and then wet going into the weekend, although not near as much in terms of the rainfall totals from what we saw last week ahead this week. But we are going to be tracking a couple days where we're likely dealing with some showers going throughout the day. So that's some of what we're going to be covering in this edition of Nate at 8. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Let's jump into things and starting off with our current temperatures, which again are going to be dropping off as we go through the night. We are tracking a cold start to tomorrow morning. Temperatures will be falling through the 30s. In fact, likely ending up back into the 20s by tomorrow morning. Now, these wind speeds are thankfully starting to die down. In fact, current wind gusts you see only up to 6 miles per hour in Wintersville right now. And we've seen these wind gusts even earlier this evening that were still in excess of 20 miles per hour. But now, thankfully, these winds are really starting to die down now here early on tonight. And that will carry over to tomorrow morning, anticipating even a calm wind in place. So wind chills, not nearly as much of a factor going into tomorrow morning. These calming winds and very little cloud cover will allow those temperatures then to drop off as we do extend into the morning hours tomorrow. And again, mapping out those wind speeds and gusts at this point really starting to die down, anticipating that light to calm wind. Even going into midday tomorrow, by the afternoon, winds will start to pick back up, although only about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So not real breezy as we go through Wednesday, but certainly here near term that we are dealing with some light to calm winds in place going through early tonight all the way into midday tomorrow before winds start to pick back up tomorrow afternoon. Like I mentioned, though, little cloud cover in place, not going to track a whole lot of clouds as we go through the night. So that combination will certainly allow these temperatures to fall back into the 20s by tomorrow morning. We could even settle around the mid 20s tomorrow morning. So still cold, right? But it's not going to feel as cold as what it felt for this morning. Tomorrow morning, we woke up to wind chills into the teens, not quite to that extent. Looking ahead into tomorrow morning. Again, still cold, though, especially for this time of the year. Keep in mind that normal high this time of the year is closer to 60, and our normal low is closer to 40. So our high temperatures this afternoon were more on par with that normal low than the normal high. So these 20s certainly unseasonably cold into Wednesday morning. Now, after Wednesday morning, and we're dealing with these temperatures in the 20s, from here, it is not as cold as we go through the weekend. Our temperatures will start to warm up as early as tomorrow afternoon. That's when temperatures are going to be topping off closer to 50 degrees. We start off with sunshine in the morning, then notice more clouds spilling into the area going into the latter part of your Wednesday. That is out ahead of our next round of precipitation. We're going to be watching for this rain arriving for Wednesday night and even early Wednesday night. So not only closer to sunset, but especially just after the sun sets, this is when to watch for that rain moving into the area. Then it does continue occasionally overnight and into Thursday morning. Now, we will be watching for the potential for a drier period with the dry slot with this system around midday on Thursday. Now, if this does manage to set up, which again, our futurecast, this model's hinting at it, if this does manage to set up and we can spot some sunshine breaking out, then yes, temperatures can reach into the 60s. And I do think if this scenario plays out, we even have the potential to see a thunderstorm later on into the day on Thursday, as we can get enough instability to see a thunderstorm develop later on into the day Thursday. If we maintain that cloud cover throughout the day, well, temperatures remain in the 50s, and we're not going to likely deal with any thunderstorms later in the day. But it is an interesting scenario playing out that, yes, that potential is there. I think that we can see some clearing. I think Futurecast may be overdoing it. Certainly this is a sunny sight on Futurecast. It may be overdoing the amount of clearing we get, but I wouldn't be surprised if at least some sunshine could break out going into midday Thursday into the early afternoon. And yes, temperatures can, with at least some sunshine, get closer to 60. Are we into the 60s with sunny skies? And Futurecast may just be overdoing this a bit too much, but it is one thing we're going to be watching for around midday Thursday. But again, even though we can see a drier period around midday, early afternoon, we're still going to watch for more scattered showers redeveloping late afternoon, and yes, maybe even a thunderstorm as well. That'll carry over into the evening. Thunderstorm risk falls off, but the scattered showers then continue Thursday night into Friday morning. And in fact, just going throughout the day Friday, we're still likely dealing with some scattered showers in place. until coverage will start to fall off by Friday night and then really drop off into the weekend. Maybe an isolated shower to start off the weekend Saturday, but we're looking drier at that point. So our rain outlook Wednesday, again, looking dry tomorrow. By the end of the day, though, is when we're watching for that rain moving in. It's occasional Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We can get that drier period, maybe spotting some sunshine or going into midday and even into the early afternoon hours on Thursday, but more scattered showers redevelop by the latter part of the afternoon and evening hours Thursday, continuing then Thursday night throughout the day Friday. By Friday night, coverage will fall back off, and we'll be dealing with way more hit or miss showers that can linger Friday night into Saturday. It's possible, yes, we still see a shower around for the start of the weekend Saturday. It does look like a lot of cloud cover sticks around for the start of the weekend. By Sunday, then, we'll spot more sunshine, and the rain threat will just drop off completely. So, the timing similar to what we had last week, right, where we're dealing with more rain for the latter part of the week. But certainly these precipitation amounts this time around are nothing comparable to what we had last week. So, yes, we're dealing with more wet weather later this week, but we're not piling up inches of rain. Not the case. We're dealing likely with about a quarter to a half of an inch of rain. Still a decent amount, but again, these thankfully are light enough where we're not concerned with any flooding as we go in the latter part of this week. And yes, I think the potential for a thunderstorm is there later into the day Thursday. I think we would have to get a lot of sunshine with completely dry conditions to have any severe risk, but that is something we'll keep an eye out for later into the day Thursday. I think if there's going to be anything impactful over the next couple of days, that may be our window of time. It's later into the day Thursday, going into Thursday evening. Yes, if we can spot a lot of sunshine breaking out, dry conditions, maybe we have the potential for a strong to severe thunderstorm later in the day Thursday, but that is certainly quite conditional, right? We need just the right conditions to see that happen. But if I think we're going to have anything impactful here over the next couple of days, I think that would be it. As again, these rainfall amounts likely stay low enough where we're not dealing with any flooding concerns and mainly just dealing with showers for a lot of this period going into the weekend, with the exception of later in the day Thursday. I think that's our best chance maybe to see some thunderstorms. And yes, if the conditions are just right, maybe a storm can reach on the stronger side. And that would be it. I think if we're doing anything impactful, that would be it likely as we look ahead going through the weekend. Your 9+ 1 day forecast. The temperatures can climb up Thursday. Again, if we get enough sunshine, maybe even climbing closer to, if not in the 60s. But outside of that, we're hovering closer to 50 degrees for high Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, we are likely getting back into the 60s and then even in 70s Monday. Monday looks to be the warmest day here over the next 10 days. We cannot get a warm stretch. That's for certain. There's no warm stretch in sight here going into the middle of this month and maybe even into the latter part of the month as well. I think overall this month can end up on the cooler end in terms of averages, as we cannot just muster that warm stretch of weather. We're still dealing with temperatures more seasonable to below normal, and that's going to be the story for a lot of the next 10 days as well. Yes, there's some days where temperatures are back above normal, but for most of these days, it's either fairly seasonable or it's below normals, and that trend looks to carry over maybe even into the latter part of this month as well. So we just cannot break this cycle here over the next couple of weeks where there's some warm days, but certainly the stretch is more cool to seasonable temperatures is the stretch here likely over the next couple of weeks. Renee's joining us this evening saying it certainly was cold today. No doubt about that, right? Those wind chills were a factor. And for a lot of folks, especially north of I-70, if you're living north of I-70, you noticed it. Those temperatures today did not hit the 40s. And with those temperatures remaining in the 30s, it felt even closer to the 20s for a wind chill. Even into the afternoon, it was certainly cold. Now, more chilly south of I-70. Temperatures did reach into the 40s, but still felt like it was in the 30s with that breeze in place. So chilly to cold day across the area. Far cry from, again, that normal high, which is a 60, and you'll see that normal low 39. Yeah, that's what we were much closer to today for that high. High coming in at 41 at the Wheeling-Ohio County Airport. So we managed to just get to the 40s at the Wheeling-Ohio County Airport. But again, for a lot of us north of I-70, we did not. We failed to reach it. So certainly Certainly a cold day across the Ohio Valley. Will it be cold for Easter? Renee is asking. And yeah, the way this pattern is going, I think it's certainly favoring more seasonable temperatures. So 60s, maybe below that. Maybe we do get a cooler day on Easter. It's going to be a little too early yet to call for certain what we're going to be dealing with going into that point. But yeah, it does look like we could be dealing with some temperatures, leading into it. Certainly likely leading into it, we'll still see temperatures in the 60s. So maybe we could end up a little bit above normal there going into Easter. It doesn't look like it's going to be a real warm day. Certainly, this pattern's favoring more seasonable to cool days looking ahead over the next couple of weeks with an early look there towards Easter. Lola, surprised to see snow on the ground this morning. Yeah, ended up with a little bit there, right? We talked about that yesterday. Lola joining us this evening. Thanks so much. We talked about that potential there for just a little bit, a little dusting, coating possible, or even none, and then primarily on grassy surfaces, and managed to spot that. Yeah, it's certainly, on typically a lot of us don't think of it as April is dealing with snow, but our average snowfall throughout the month of April is actually 1.5 inches over the past 30 years. You believe that 1.5 inches of snow the month of April? I know a lot of us don't typically think of it, but yeah, we do typically start to see some of that snow linger into the month of April. We do, and not, at this point we're really starting to look forward to those warmer days and sunshine, the warmer days, flowers blooming. Right, we look towards the change of seasons, but yeah, winter can still pay us a visit at times throughout the month of April. Obviously not as often, but yeah, we still can get some taste of winter, and certainly was like that today, wasn't it? And looking ahead, nothing of the sort of what we had today will repeat over the next couple of weeks. We'll be more 50s, 60s, and yeah, even into the 70s then by next Monday. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it as always. I hope you had a wonderful day. And yeah, bundle up again tomorrow morning. We've got one more cold morning ahead before temperatures climb up. By tomorrow afternoon, you're going to notice not as cold at that point. We're getting back towards the 50s. And then from there, even back above freezing for a low temperature going into Thursday morning. So it's going to be a cold rain. That is something else to note. Thursday morning with that rain lingering, temperatures fall just into the 30s. It's just warm enough to keep that precipitation type as rain. And yes, that's a cold rain Thursday morning with lows in the upper 30s, but that is still going to be warmer with respect to those mid 20s that we're likely waking up to tomorrow morning. All right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me this evening. You can catch me coming up on News 9 at 10 on Fox 9, News 9 tonight at 11. And of course, come right back here tomorrow evening. Stay tuned then for that next Nate at 8, where we discuss at that point, likely the rain moving into the area. So make sure to stay tuned tomorrow evening for the next edition of Nate at 8, as we'll track that rain moving into the area and the latest on maybe we could sneak in a thunderstorm later today, Thursday. I'll have the latest on that as well. All right, everyone. Have a great night.